allow me on behalf of the LLF and Nusrat Jamil to welcome you to this session, a very special session with Pasha Haroon. This session was conceived by Nusrat Jamil and Razi Ahmed after they heard Pasha speak in Karachi. What does it mean for Pasha to speak? Pasha Haroon is 94 years old, though she may not look it. Her nieces, nephews, grandnieces and grandnephews are here in this auditorium today. What is peculiar about Pasha Haroon's life is that unlike the titan we just unveiled, Sayyid Babar Ali, who is a doer, Pasha Haroon was an observer of important events. And her doing was mostly in the 1940s and 50s. Since then, she has stood silently and listened. Listening is a quality as well. The other thing is that till 2 years ago, the results of which became apparent in the programming in the Dawn Media Group as a backdrop for the festival, Pasha Haroon had never spoken. I think it corresponds to an unwritten rule that it is wrong to speak about people, and even then she maintains her balance and ability to hold back facts. I would like to say that what appeared in the newspapers and the television and on the net is the sum total of Pasha's memory, but I don't think that's true. I think that corresponded to one period of exploration, and of course Nusrat Jamil, who's with me, will approach the matter with care, because although Pasha is all there, sequence in a tight stage session like this needs to be jogged sometimes. So I'm sitting here at Nusri's insistence to help establish the chronology of events, because sometimes over a period of 75 to 80 years, chronology tends to get jumbled. Pasha, of course, is far more lucid than that. Nusri's asked me to tell you a little bit about what is special about Pasha Haroon. I think in the part of the program that we will be dealing with on the LLF stage, we are going to go in for a reiteration. Many of the people want to hear live some of the wonderful things that Pasha has spoken about. From 1936 to 1947, from the time that she got engaged to Yusuf Abdullah Haroon in Bombay and Pune, till 1947, when Pakistan was formed, is the first chapter of her memory that we are going to try and explore. In this chapter, there are many people who dominate, but essentially the three father figures, although her father was alive, he was far away in Pune, the three father figures that dominate her life in small, meticulous details sometimes are Sir Sultan Muhammad Agha Khan III in Bombay and Pune, Haji Abdullah Haroon, her father-in-law, in Karachi, and Mr. Jinnah after his death in Karachi and Delhi. So Nusri, I'll leave it open to you to ask Pasha the first question.
It's a great privilege and an honor for me to be speaking to Pasha Haroon. I met her for the first time about a year ago. In Karachi, and it was love at first sight. She's an extraordinary woman, as you will soon find out, and has a memory which is as sharp as a young girl's. So I will just turn to her and ask her tell us a little bit about your early life in Pune and Bombay, and how old you were, and where you went to school, and who were your early influences in your life.
I went to school in Panchkeni, boarding school, convent, and I was 14 when my mother-in-law brought a proposal to my mother that she wanted her son to marry me. So my mother said that my daughter's too young, you better go, there's another girl in the family. So she said, no, I want your daughter. So anyway, then she went to my mother's aunt, who was Yar Khan's mother, and she told her. And, okay.
Very close to you.
That's all right. And she told her, she said, I want your niece's daughter, because my mother was her niece. So please talk to her. So then my mother's aunt called my mother and said, look, he's a very nice young man, and I would like that you should accept him as your son-in-law, and please accept. So my mother said, okay. So anyway, we got married, and I came to Karachi. When I came to Karachi, there was a thing
Pasha,
about...
before you tell us about Karachi, could you tell us a little about your life in Bombay and Pune with Lady Alisha, Sir Sultan Muhammad Agha Khan and Ali Khan, your cousin?
Prince Ali Khan used to come to Bombay, and he also used to come to Karachi. One time when he came to Karachi, he was here for 3 days. And every evening after he finished his chores with his people and everything, he used to come and pick us up and take us to a movie. And every day was the same movie. I said, what are you bringing us here for the same movie? It was a movie with Rita Hayworth, and he said, look, I'm in love with her. I want to marry her. So I said, what? He said, yes, I'm in love with her and I want to marry her. So anyway, he said, next time when you come to Geneva, let me know, and I will call her and I will introduce you to her. So a few weeks later, we went to Geneva. And we were there, and he called us, we called him, and he called us and said, I'm coming, I'll come to take you out for lunch. So please come down, and I'm coming right now. So he came, and he came inside the hotel, and he took me out, and he said, I want you to see someone. So I went out, and there was this beautiful woman sitting in the car, and I looked at her, and I couldn't believe it. It was Rita Hayworth. So he said, yes, here she is. I want you all to meet her. So he went and called my husband as well, and so we went out to lunch, and we had a very nice lunch, and she was a lovely lady. And then after that, we kept in touch for a long time, you know. And so...
See, to the mic.
In Pune and Bombay.
In Pune.
How you were growing up in the Agha Khan's...
In the Agha Khan's house, in the building. We all lived in an on-tree, the whole family. And we were there, and I was a total spoiled brat at the time. And when I got married, my mother-in-law, she took care of me. And she taught me how to do this and that and everything.
Who read your nikah?
Huh?
Who read your nikah?
Who was?
Who read your nikah? Who read your nikah?
Who was here?
Who
My
read your
Agha
nikah?
Khan.
Yes.
My uncle, Yar Khan. He did our nikah. And then we came to Karachi. And then my mother-in-law, of course, you know, she was very strict with me. I have to thank her for it, because otherwise I wouldn't have known how to do things. And then Qaid-e-Azam came to stay with us. He came to Karachi with Miss Jinnah, and he was staying at our house. And that was the first time I met him. I didn't know anything about Muslim League and all that. Anyway, and later on, and Qaid-e-Azam was staying there, and he used to have lunch with us, breakfast with us, and dinner with us.
Pasha, what did Qaid-e-Azam eat for lunch and dinner? What kind of food did he eat?
He ate very simple food. He didn't eat very spicy English food. Like for breakfast, he would have porridge and toast and tea. And for lunch, especially in Karachi, he loved having the fish and the shrimps because they are really very good here. And he would have just maybe boiled mashed potatoes or something. He couldn't eat too much. And for dinner, he just ate one dish.
And could you describe the way he dressed up? How did he dress up? What kind of clothes did he wear?
He wore proper suits and everything, not shalwar kameez. Yeah, he was.
And what language did he normally speak with you?
Speak to him in English. Well, the kind of Urdu he spoke, we also spoke. Because Karachi and Bombay, they spoke the same kind of Urdu. I mean, not like they speak now.
So could you just describe to us the early years of when you came to this sea field as a young bride? What did you see for the first time, and what were the things that you were involved in? What kind of a life did you have as a young married woman in Karachi?
In Karachi?
Yes.
What kind of a life?
What kind of a life, yes.
Well, regular life, like everybody else, but in those days Karachi was different, not like now,
Tell us a little bit about the kind of social life you had and the political life you had.
Social life we had ladies' organizations which my mother-in-law was interested in and she was involved in. And then later on after the Muslim League was formed and everything, we had National Guards and I was with the National Guards, And so we had that kind of life. It was a very low-key life compared to now.
But what were the activities that you were engaged in?
Mostly I was engaged in the National Guard.
Could you tell us a little bit about your time at the National Guard?
We were attached to the Muslim League and we were there to help the Muslim League. I mean, whatever they wanted us to do. And when they used to have meetings and all, we were the young ones who were in front, carrying the flag and everything,
Were you just a member of the Guard or were you someone important in the National Guard?
Well, I was a regular member. Later on, I became the head of the National Guard.
Which was the commander.
Pasha Haroon, you look very innocent today, and I've seen you been a little more mischievous in the past. You also used to do fraudulent things. At one time, Mr. Jinnah, in the 1946 election when Mrs. G.A. Alana was being held, was witness to that, and there was an incident. Can you describe it to us?
Well, the elections were in 46.
In the Bible.
Sindh election. And the Muslim League had given the ticket to Mrs. Alana. And she couldn't speak much, so, my mother-in-law used to speak for her, and Lady Datula used to speak for her, and so on and so forth. Then the day of the election, Qaid Azam was there. And in the evening, every evening, when he used to be at home, I used to go and sit with him and give him all the duck, what's going on, this, that, and the other, because he never really moved out, And he would have a glass of whiskey, a drink, and he would hear what I had to say, and my sister. And the day of the election, I took my sister-in-law with me, and I put in some 8-10 votes, jolly votes, And I made her put in 3-4, and because we wanted Pakistan, whatever happened, we wanted Pakistan, cheating or not cheating or whatever. So anyway, in the evening, when we were sitting with Qaid Azam, we were so happy, that we had done this. So he said, what happened today about the elections? So I told him, I said, sir, we went and voted. He said, oh, very good. I said, I voted 10 times, 11 times. He said, what? How did you vote 10, 11 times? So he said, I told him, I said, I put on burqa, I put on a chadar, I went with another thing, and different names. And Zeenat, my sister-in-law, said, I put in 3 votes. And different names with burqa and something else, and you know, my scarf around my head. And he said, what? He was having his glass of whiskey, and he banged the glass on the table and he said, you're telling me that we are getting Pakistan cheating? If this is how I'm going to get Pakistan, I don't want Pakistan. So we were a nervous wreck. I ran this way, she ran that way. So we never saw him that evening at all, because we all used to have dinner together, lunch together. Never saw him at all till the next day. And he told us, he said, next time I don't want to hear you say this again, because I want Pakistan in the real way, not cheating.
And you were present, Pasha, the night the Pakistan, this is again 1946-47, you were present the night that the first Pakistan flag was brought in Seafield, your home, for Mr. Jinnah's consideration, and certain amendments were to be made. That flag was subsequently raised on Mr. Jinnah's orders the next morning at Seafield by Pasha Haroon. Do you remember the incident of the flag with Jinnah?
Well, they brought the flag. They brought the flag and we put it on the dining table, the Pakistan flag. And he looked at it and he said, I want the white to be broadened, because that's the minority. I want the minorities, whoever they are, from wherever they are, they're welcome to come to Pakistan. They are in Pakistan, they're Pakistanis. And after that, we widened the white border, and then Mahmood Haroon, my brother-in-law, took it and mounted it on Seafield at our house. That was the first time.
What year was this?
That was before partition.
1946-47.
46.
And what happened subsequently with the flag, Pakistan flag, when you were ordered to come to Lahore?
Oh, we went to Lahore to...
This is Lahore in 1946-47, when there was a unionist government in power.
It was before partition. We went to Lahore to...
How many were you?
Well, we were quite a few people. There were older people, but we young people were quite few. There was Vicky Noon, myself, and there was another girl,
Salmata Sadduq.
Yes. And the older people sat at the back, and we young people, we went to hoist the flag. Vicky and myself, we were arrested by the police.
And where were you going to?
Punjab High Court, Lahore High Court.
It was the Lahore High Court.
Lahore High Court. That was the Lahore High Court.
And Salmata Sadduq gained the flag and she put it on. And you people were arrested for a few hours.
What happened to you?
I was with the police, and Vicky Noon also. We were there all day. Later on, Salma was also arrested. But then in the evening, we were released. That's what we had gone for.
But
So
Salma
Pasha
had managed to put the flag, hoist the flag.
She did. Salma.
Pasha Haroon, you beat your husband to hoisting the flag, because for August 14th, when the flag was first hoisted before Mr. Jinnah in Karachi, when Pakistan was formed, I think it was August 11th on the day of the Constituent Assembly. At that stage, Yusuf Haroon hoisted the flag. So you beat him to the flag hoisting by at least 4 or 5 months. Were you ever embarrassed about that?
No.
No, okay. So the third incident I want to come to with Mr. Jinnah was on, you were there when the ceremonies for the inauguration of Pakistan took place on 14th August with Lord Mountbatten, Lady Mountbatten, Mr. Jinnah, Miss Jinnah. You were in that lawn at the Governor House.
Before partition.
Yeah. So you remember the ceremony?
When my husband was a member of the assembly.
No, I'm referring to the 14th of August 1947 when you were in the lawn, when Mr. Jinnah was sworn in as Governor General and Liaquat was sworn in as Prime Minister by Justice Abdul Rashid, Zinat's father-in-law. You were there at that?
In Karachi.
In Karachi.
Governor House.
Governor House, yeah.
So could you describe that ceremony?
What is this?
1947, the Pakistan ceremony when Mr. Jinnah became Governor General and Pakistan was declared.
Yes.
Tell us about that day.
So we were the...
Could you speak into the mic?
When he took the oath.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he took the oath, And he came down, we were there, my mother-in-law, myself, my husband, everybody, and he came down, and the first thing he did was, he took my hand and he kissed my head, and then he shook hands with other people, my mother-in-law and all the other people. That's what he did, after he took the oath.
Are you aware?
He was very fond of me.
Pasha, are you aware that this fatherly kiss would have been illegal in Pakistan and certain people have got into trouble because of it publicly now?
You would come under the Hadood law now, I think.
What?
You would come under the Hadood law for a na-mehram to have touched you or kissed you on your
And
forehead.
yet, Pasha Haroon, there was Mr. Jinnah's first and last birthday in Pakistan. In 1947, 25th of December 1947,
47.
there was a public ceremony at the Governor General's house, and in the evening, Mr. Jinnah wanted a private birthday party, which was attended by Sir Ghulam Hussain Hidayetullah's family, your family, the Haroons, and Qazi Isa's family. And you were there. You had a special role at that birthday party. Into the mic.
It was at Hidayatullah's house.
Can you describe what happened there?
His first birthday party, and probably the last birthday, because after that he passed away. And was at Sir Ghulam Hussain Hidayatullah's house. And I was asked to sing his birthday song.
Which was written by a Lahore poet whose name nobody
Somebody
remembers.
from Lahore. I don't know who it was, but it was written by
I'm going to ask you, Pasha Haroon, to sing that song for this audience because they have never heard this song before. Whatever you remember of it, you mustn't be shy.
My God, I don't know if I have the voice.
Close to the mic, close to the mic.
मिल्लत के लिए आज गनीमत है तेरा दम ऐ कायद आज़म मिल्लत के लिए आज गनीमत है तेरा दम ऐ कायद आज़म शिराज़ ये मिल्लत को किया तूने फराहम ऐ कायद आज़म शिराज़ ये मिल्लत को किया तूने फराहम ऐ कायद आज़म काम आई गई आज तेरी विरासत ऐ शाह सियासत ताज सुरैया है अब इस्लाम का परचम ऐ कायद आज़म ताज सुरैया है अब इस्लाम का परचम ऐ कायद आज़म मिल्लत के लिए आज गनीमत है तेरा ऐ कायद आज़म.
And what was Mr. Jinnah's reaction? What was Mr. Jinnah's reaction?
And he was so shy. He had a napkin, it was after dinner, and he had a napkin in his hand and he was rolling it like that. He was so shy because he was very private and he didn't want all this, you know. But it was just a few people, maybe about 20 people, just few friends and family members and all. And he was so shy, he was rolling his napkin like this. So
and you were in London when he passed away.
Yes, I was in London.
And you got a call from Yusuf Haroon. Will you describe that?
Yusuf was here. My husband was here, but I was in London. And Miss Jinnah called my mother-in-law, and she said that the Qaid-e-Azam had passed away. We didn't know that he had tuberculosis. That's what he had. Because they're very private people. They never talked about their health. We never ever knew that Qaid-e-Azam was not well or something. Anyway, she called my husband and she said that he's passed away. Could you please make arrangements for his funeral, ghusl and everything. So my husband called Hashim Raza and said, this is what happened, please come and help. So then he came and then he called Haji Kallu, who was the man of the Shia community who gave ghusls at the Imam Barga in Karadar. And so he came and that's how they organized everything, the funeral thing.
Pasha Haroon, there is another controversial story which is linked to Mr. Jinnah, There is a lot of debate today that Mr. Jinnah was not born in Karachi and was born in Jhiruk, a town in the Thatta area where Jinnah Punja, his father, was born. But you heard otherwise. Can you describe that story?
It's wrong because people say he was born in Jhiruk, but he was not born in Jhiruk. Because when Quaid-e-Azam used to come here, my father-in-law used to take us all. He loved going to the beach, and the fishermen would bring him fish and oysters and things like that.
Did Mr. Jinnah like oysters?
No, yeah, he used to love it. I never saw it before, somebody eating oysters, you know. That was the first time I did. And so anyway, this particular time when we had gone to the beach, after we'd had lunch and everything, and we were ready to come back to the city, he turned around and he told us, he said, I want to show you where I was born. So we said, where? So he said, I'm going to show you. So he asked the driver. He said, do you know Kharadar? So the driver said, yes. He said, do you know where the Imam Barga is? So the driver said, yes. He said, take us there. So we came. So he said, when you get to the Imam Barga, stop there and I'll tell them where I was born. So we stopped there, and all of us were there, my husband, Mahmood, Saeed, Zeenat, Leila, Afsar, the whole family was there. And he said, you see this street going up? As we said, yes. He said, you go up and then you turn right. And there is a building called
Fazil Mansion.
Huh?
Fazil
Yeah.
Wazir.
Yeah, Wazir Mansion. And he said, that is where I was born. So he was not really born in Jhiruk. I had an argument about a year ago with somebody at dinner. And he said he was born in Jhiruk. I said, no, he was not. He was born in Karachi. He said, how do you know? I said, because he told me. He told us. I'm not exaggerating, but he told us, and it's the truth.
Well, there are still 4 witnesses left to that, but I want to also point out something that Pasha Haroon does not know, and maybe it will help all of you think about how Pakistan proceeds. Wazir Mansion was not the house that Jinnah was born in. Mr. Jinnah was born in the house next to Wazir Mansion. When he was a little boy, they shifted to Wazir Mansion next door. The place where Mr. Jinnah was born is now commemorated as Wazir Mansion because in the early 50s, one of the people who came to Karachi restored the mansion and gave it to the state in the name of Mr. Jinnah's birthplace. But the birthplace was next door, and that today holds a supermarket in Kharadar. So that Pasha Haroon would not know, but Pasha Haroon, that is the episode with Jinnah I wanted to ask you. Proceed.
I want to ask something about Miss Jinnah, because you knew her very well, and she was also very fond of you.
Miss Jinnah was very fond of me, and you know, when we were...
What kind of a person was she?
She was very low-key person, not hoity or anything. She didn't have many friends. She just had my mother-in-law and Lady Bidatullah, and just, you know, very... And when I used to go to Delhi, and my husband used to come to Karachi and go to Mosipur because he had a sugar factory there. This is before partition, when he was the member of the Assembly, Indian Assembly. So Miss Jinnah used to insist that I come and sleep with her in her house. And so I said, no, I'm all right. She said, no, I won't let you sleep alone because I don't want you to be alone. And your husband is not here, so I'm coming to pick you up. So she used to come and pick me up at about 6 o'clock in the evening, and she'd put a bed in her bedroom next to her, and I used to sleep there with her. And in the morning, my car would come, and I'd go back home. And so every evening till my husband arrived, you know, she used to take me there to them, and I used to...
So you were 18 years old and you found Miss Jinnah good company. That's wonderful.
But do you remember anything else about your time in Delhi when you were staying there? What else do you remember?
There's a little incident, I think, about Maulana Muhammad Ali's wife, who was
Oh
also
God,
called
you
B.
want me
Amma.
to talk about that?
Absolutely. Why? You have an audience up here. Tell them about B. Amma and the incident.
Well, B. Amba used to come because my mother, she knew my mother.
Who was B. Amma? He said.
Maulana Muhammad Ali's wife. We used to call her B. She used to come when my mother-in-law used to be there. Sometimes my mother-in-law would come and she used to come and see her. This particular day when she came, she said, I'm going to the bathroom. So she went to the bathroom and we didn't see her for a while, for like half an hour or something. And then my mother-in-law said, I think you better tell the cook to serve the lunch. So every time I passed by the bathroom, I heard somebody calling. I heard a voice calling out. I didn't know who it was. And so then I went 2-3 times and I heard someone calling out. Then the last time I opened the door and B. Amma had fallen in this bucket of water that my mother had given me, because in those days they didn't have showers and everything. So people used to have buckets. My mother had given me an Iranian thing, which is tas, called tas. It was a big thing. So it was there and she was in that bucket. So we said, how did you get there? She said, I'd heard a lot about bathtub. So I saw it and I thought, let me sit in the bathtub. So once I sat, I couldn't get up. So that was the story. So even my mother-in-law and I couldn't pick her up. We had to call someone to help us because she was quite fat and heavy. That's why she couldn't get up.
Can you tell us a little bit when you were the commandant of the National Guard and who was your brigade major?
Well,
who was the commandant?
First we were the National Guards, we were with the Muslim League National Guard. But afterwards, we were there to do, because lots of refugees were coming from India and we used to go and pick them up and bring them, give them shelter and things like that. And then later on, we were attached to the army and Brigadier Yahya Khan was our boss.
The Yahya Khan. And can you tell us what kind of a man he was, or what do you remember about him?
He was a very nice man. He was a very honest man.
I think, Pasha, what Nussi is asking you about is the visit of the Shah of Iran and the march past where the salute was to be given by the National Guard to Begum Liaquat and the Shah.
You want me to talk about it?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about it. In the mic.
About the party?
No, about
Yahya Khan.
What happened when Yahya Khan was late.
Oh, when the Shah had come. You want me to talk?
Yes.
Yeah.
When the Shah
Pasha
had come,
thinks we are censoring
we,
her.
the National Guards, were giving him a guard of honor. So we had rehearsed it. And Begum Saab was supposed to come, and after that the Shah was coming. And when the Begum Saab came, Yahya Khan was supposed to go and open the door for her, the car door, to get her out. And it so happened at the last minute something happened, so he was like 2 minutes late. And that was not, I don't think she liked that. And so anyway, they reported it and they were going to move him. I don't know whether they were going to move him from the army or what. And that night, at about 11:30, quarter to 12, my National Guard adjutant was a Captain Mahfouz. He came to see me because I heard the chowkidar knock on the bedroom window. And I said, what's the matter? He said, Begum Saab, Captain Mahfouz has come to see you. So I went there immediately. I said, what's happened? So he said, you've got to do something because Yahya Khan may be fired from the army. I said, why? He said, because of this incident. So we knew General, the chief of the army, Gracie, very well. Yeah, very well. And General Gracie had given orders to his guards and everything. Any time of the day or night, Pasha Haroon or his wife want to come and see me, they are welcome. You have to open the gate for them. So I said, let's go there. So we went there and I told General Gracie what had happened. So he immediately arranged for Yahya Khan to be sent to Quetta, to save him from this incident. So he sent him to Quetta. And then I never saw him after that. And then years later, many years later, when Pasha Haroon was under Yahya Khan, he was a minister.
You're speaking of 1669.
And he was a minister. Yahya Khan asked him one day, I want to ask you a question. So he said, yes, sir. He said, do you know Pasha Haroon? He said, yes, she's my sister-in-law. So he said, oh, where is she? She's in America. She said, I want to see her. So he said, well, I will ask my brother when he comes, he will bring her. So he took Yusuf's telephone from Mahmoud and he called Yusuf and he said, I want to invite you to Pakistan because you're one of the people that fought for Pakistan and I want you to come and I want to invite you. So Yusuf said, all right. So after a few weeks we flew direct to Islamabad. And anyway, that night Yahya Khan had invited us for dinner. He told Mahmoud, you're coming to dinner and you're going to bring your sister-in-law and your brother. I want to see her. So we went, it was just a sit-down dinner, few people. And after dinner, he turned around and told all the people, all the guests, he said, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that I am here today because of this young woman. So I didn't know what to do. I almost went under the table, because my God, how could he do that? I mean, I didn't do it because of anything, but I had to do it. It was an honor for me. And he said, it is because of her that I am here today. And he told them what had happened.
Tell us, there were many important people in
So nowadays people don't even appreciate that,
There were many important people in your life. Tell us a little bit about Liaquat Ali Khan and his wife.
Well, he was a very honest man and he was not a crook. He had a beautiful, beautiful house in Delhi. And when they came here, they didn't take any house, nothing. They were here as Prime Minister. When he was shot, we were in Australia. He had asked my husband to go as an ambassador to Australia. He was the first ambassador to Australia. So immediately my husband flew back here. I was there and he flew back here. Begum Saab didn't have a house. She had nothing. Because he didn't take a house, because he left his house in Delhi, he didn't take anything, no apartment, nothing.
He didn't take any claim, any vacant property,
nothing.
Which everybody else did, I think, in this country.
So my husband talked to the government and told them, listen, he gave up everything, you have to do something for her. So they gave her a house,
And what kind of people were they?
They were very nice, very affectionate people, very nice. His house was always open for everyone and anyone, and he liked to hear what people are saying, because every morning there was a man, a barber who used to come and shave Yusuf.
Yusuf Mova, the barber of
Barber. What was his name?
Yusuf Mova.
Yeah. And we used to call him Yusuf Hajam. And anyway, so after he did my husband's shaving, he used to go and shave Nawab Saab. So he used to give him all the news of what's going on in the city, because he was a man that moved around. He said, even if people talk bad about him, he used to say that. He didn't mind it, because he wanted to hear what people are saying, And if he could do something, he would do something. That's the way he was.
And what was the
He
kind of
reached
work?
out to everybody.
And what was the kind of work that Rana Liaquat was doing?
Rana Liaquat Ali, she did so much for women. She made aqua. She's the one that was the person who put aqua into Pakistan. And she worked for women. She had cottage, where they did work, embroidery and things like that. And she had a little shop set up where they used to sell these things. But all the money went to aqua. And it was for the education of the poor people who could not afford.
I'm going to prod you a step forward, Pasha. I'm going to take you to your friendship with Nahid Iskandar Mirza.
Nahid Iskandar.
How did that begin and what happened when Iskandar Mirza moved in as president?
Iskandar Mirza also was not a crook. He was an honest man. He was a soldier. He was an honest man. And I knew him. I was a kid when I first saw him because he was very friendly with my parents, maybe having the Iranian background and all that. And so he used to always call me Bachchu. So when they were thrown out of power, we
Could
were...
you come to an earlier incident in the railway salon?
Huh?
You were asked by Nahid Iskandar Mirza
by Nahid, yeah. There was a function in Pindi, and some women were against Nahid because she was the second wife of Iskandar Mirza and this and that and all that. So anyway, she was very friendly with me. So she asked me, she said, please come with me. In those days we were going by train. Please come with me because I don't want to be alone in case, the women come out on the road, so I'll be very embarrassed. So I said, okay. So we were in the train. There was Ayub Khan, Chundrigar, and Iskandar Mirza, and one other gentleman, 4 people. And Iskandar Mirza loved playing bridge. So he was playing bridge with them, and Nahid and myself were sitting on the sofa, and we were having a cup of tea, and suddenly we heard Iskandar saying, because Iskandar Mirza had a great sense of humor. He kept calling everyone Bachchu. He kept saying to Ayub Khan, you're cheating me, Bachchu, you're cheating me, you're cheating me. Ayub Khan said, no, I'm not cheating you. Sir, if you cut my wrist, every drop of my blood will be saying Iskandar, Iskandar, Iskandar. And then when he died in London, they were not giving his wife permission to bring his body here to be buried.
Can you describe the incident when Iskandar Mirza and his wife were flown to London, out of the country?
And when they flew to London, a friend of theirs, Captain Friend, called us. Old friend from the army days, British army days. Called us, we knew him very well, and he said, look, they're coming to London, and I'm going to the airport to pick them up. If you come along, if you two, both of you come along, they'll be very happy to see you. And so we said, yes, we'll go along. And so we went. And when we got there, Nahid was trembling, I said, what's the matter? She said, I don't know. She was trembling because she'd arranged for them to stay in a hotel. So Iskandar Mirza told us, he said, when we were taken to Quetta, there were these guys, soldiers sitting with guns pointing at us, with Nahid in front, to Nahid and myself. So I finally told them, and Nahid was shaking because she was so nervous in case they shoot us. So I told her, I said, go and sit at the back. And I told them, I said, listen, don't point your guns at her. It's me that you want. So point your guns at me.
And how did Nahid and Iskandar Mirza survive in London financially?
No, where did they take Mr.
They had no money. They had no money. Khanum Isfahani had a flat, so she gave them her flat to stay in. And we had gone to America. When we came back, I called her to say I'm here. And I didn't know what she was talking because, you know, she was actually crying on the telephone. Iskandar Mirza had already died and she wanted to bring her. So we went immediately to her and she said, please ask the government people to let his body be allowed to come here. And so Yusuf rang up Zulfi to say that, Zulfikar Bhutto, used to call him Zulfi, to say that this man is not alive anymore. He's dead. His family is there. She wants him buried there. Please ask permission. He said, no, I can't.
And where was he buried?
And then Ardeshir Zahidi, who was the Shah's
Foreign Minister.
Yeah, in London, he was the ambassador at the time. He heard about it and he called the Shah, and the Shah sent a plane to London, and then Nahid and we went to the airport with them. We didn't go to Iran, but that's how the body was taken to Iran.
So Sikandar Mirza is buried in Iran.
Yes, he's buried in Iran. She's in London.
And what work did Nahid Sikandar Mirza do in London? How did she earn a living?
She had a house here, which Sikandar Mirza had given her. And she knew Khanum Isfahani very well from Iran, you know, they're both. So she wanted so Khanum Isfahani had sold her house and wanted to send the money, but there was no way she could transport the money there, you know, send the money there. So one day she met Ziaul Haq, had come to see her. She had a home for yatims, you know, girls and all that. Ziaul Haq had come there and he told her, he said, Begum Sahib, I'm so impressed with your work and thank you very much. Anything I can do for you? So she said, sir, I have one favor from you. Whenever you have time, I will come and I will see you in Islamabad. If you can do me a favor, I'll be very happy. So he called his ADC and he said, call Madame Isfahani, Begum Isfahani, and tell her when I have the time, you know. So they went back to Islamabad, and the following day the ADC called her and said that General Saab wants you to come whatever day it was, you know. So she went there. She went there and she said, I want you to do this favor to transfer this money to her because she's living in my apartment and she has no money. I've sold her house, but I don't know how to send the money there. So he said, no problem. He immediately did it for her.
Pasha Auntie, can you tell us a little bit, Pasha Haroon, can you tell us a little bit about Mr. Bhutto and what you remember about him and the days that you spent when Mr. Bhutto was in power?
Well, maybe Nusrat coming to live at Seafield before she married Mr. Bhutto.
Well, we knew Nusrat very well. She's a lovely woman. And I knew, because my parents knew her father. And that's how he came to Pakistan. Because he was originally from Iran and then went to Iraq and then came to Bombay. Anyway, that's another story. So we knew her very well. So when she was here, you want me to tell about the party?
Why don't you go to safe territory? There was a time when Aziz Ahmad asked you to become lady-in-waiting.
That's what I'm asking.
Princess Ashraf. Why don't you describe that?
Princess Ashraf had come. And Bhutto was foreign minister. And there was a big thing in the ladies. This one wanted to be with Ashraf, that one wanted to be. And finally they decided that I'd just come from London. And they decided that if they said, put me with her, no one will object to it. So, what was that? Nawab Chatali, he came to me and
he was doing the work of protocol for the foreign office.
Protocol officer, Nawab Chatali. He came to me and he said, we want you to be with Princess Ashraf when she comes, because then the women won't have any problem. Right now they're all fighting among themselves, this, that and the other. So I said, look, I am going to London in 2 days' time. I can't come. So Zulfi rang up my husband and said, ask your wife to stay back. So Yusuf rang me up and said, why don't you stay back for a few more days? You will be coming finally, but then stay back for a few more days. And, why don't you do that? So I said, okay. So I was with Ashraf. And we were into Lahore, and then we went to Islamabad, and then we came back here. And then the last day that Ashraf was here.
Here meaning Karachi.
Yeah, Karachi. Yeah, means Karachi, yeah. In Karachi, yeah. And the last day when we were in Karachi, Zulfi had a big party for her. And he came to me after dinner, because I was with Ashraf, and he came to me and he said, look, you go home, take the ladies home with you, her ladies in waiting, and also tell the protocol people to go. I will drop her home. I said, okay. So I told Chattari, I told the ladies in waiting, her ladies in waiting, I said, come on, I'll drop you. You're staying at the government house. And because our foreign minister said that he's going to drop her. So anyway, we went. Then at about 2:30, 3 in the morning, because Yusuf was not here, we didn't have so many telephones. I used to keep the telephone at night time near my bed. So my phone rang, and it was Nusrat. And I said, what happened? So she said, where's my husband? I said, I don't know. He was supposed to take Princess Ashraf back. So I don't know where he was. So I really don't know. Till today I don't know where they were. But obviously they must have got back at some time, but not before 3 o'clock.
I think can you tell us a little bit about how your life has changed from those days to now? What do you think when you look back about Pakistan, the breakup of Pakistan? So what do you think now? I mean, from where you started as a young girl of 14.
I feel very bad when I come here. I see people fighting with each other and this, that and the other. And, the country, we were the people who shouted for Pakistan. Re ke rahenge Pakistan, ji ke rahenge Pakistan, mar ke rahenge Pakistan. And now, it's just everybody's fighting with each other. I think the time has come when, please, the leaders should get together. Doesn't matter what party you are. Talk to each other and see what you can do for Pakistan. Because as it is, half of Pakistan is gone. I feel very bad. And Pakistan is like your baby. If your child is sick, you'll take it to any doctor. Right?
Right.
So get together, please. Join hands, be together, work for Pakistan, make it the Pakistan we fought for.
And have you got any message for young people?
Just can I ask one question, please, very quickly. Pasha Aunty, can you tell me about that phone call that you got in Karachi one day asking you कि मैंने Pasha Haroon से बात करनी है? उसका बारे में जरा बताएं, please. जी.
Last time, not last year, the year before last when I was here, I got a call on my landline. And they said, a man said, I want to talk to Pasha Haroon से बात करनी है. तो मैंने कहा, जी मैं बोल रही हूँ. तो उसने कहा, आप शिया हैं? तो मैंने कहा, हाँ, मैं शिया हूँ. क्यों? So he banged the telephone. Must be some fanatic,
And also, what you had a meeting
Like
in...
the governor of
Yes,
Jeddah.
please tell us
One
about that
time we
story,
were in,
your meeting with the governor of Jeddah.
Saudi Arabia, because my husband was with Intercontinental and
What
Pan Am.
year was it?
It was in the 60s, you know. Yeah. And he was with the Intercontinental and Pan Am. And then he'd taken Intercontinental to Beirut. He brought it to Dubai and all that, you know, and Jeddah and Makkah and all. So our friends who had invested in Intercontinental had a dinner for us, and they had invited the governor of Jeddah. And so the governor was talking to me, and he said, "Madam, I believe you're from Pakistan." I said, "Yes, I am." He said, "Are you a Muslim or are you a Shi'i?" I kept quiet for a minute. Then I said, "Excellency, first I'm a Muslim, then I'm a Shia. Because it doesn't mean if you are a Shia or Sunni or Barelvi or whatever, you're not a Muslim. All religions have sects, you know. But, you know, can you imagine?" So my husband told me,
Before
"Why did you
Pasha
have to
Haroon
say that?"
says...
I said, "No, I wanted to make it clear. You know how..."
Before Pasha Haroon says something to get all of us into trouble and the LLF onto the legal table with some new charges, I will thank her on behalf of the LLF. Lucy, you want to wind up?